Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 4 July. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about Trump has claimed the US has emptied out its arsenal to arm Ukraine. The Kyiv authorities have reported another mass drone attack. And Austria deports first Syrian refugees since the start of the civil war. So firstly, President Donald Trump has said the US has given Ukraine too many weapons under President Joe Biden, claiming that the country has emptied out its own supply. In a statement, he said, "We're giving weapons, but we're given so many weapons, but we are giving weapons." Fuck, he talks bad. And we're working with them and trying to help them, but we haven't. Biden emptied out the whole country, giving them weapons, and we have to make sure that we have enough for ourselves. That was a tough read. Trump's statement comes after a pause in some weapons shipments, including Patriot missiles and other precision-guided artillery, to Ukraine as Russia steps up an offensive in the summer months. The halt caught Kyiv off guard. Ukrainian leaders have summoned the acting US envoy on Wednesday, warning that any delays could weaken their defences. President Volodymyr Zelensky says he hopes to speak with Trump in the coming days to clarify the situation. The Pentagon has not commented on when full deliveries might resume. So what? While it's understandable that the US wants to keep enough weapons to protect themselves, and most likely to also protect Israel, Ukraine is in desperate need of these Patriot missiles and other precision-guided munitions, mostly to defend itself from the next topic, which is large-scale drone attacks from Russia. Without them, it's likely that Russia will continue to target mass civilian populations, causing untold damage and death to the civilian people of Ukraine. It's just shit. Trump just definitely doesn't prioritize Ukraine. That's kind of the short of it. While it's possible that Europe will be able to step in and provide some, it won't be able to fulfill the role such as the Patriot. For all Trump's talk about putting America first and then also spending so much more on military and defense, why are they not investing money into making more munitions faster? Because they're clearly needed at this point, and I don't see a situation in which they won't in the future. It means more money for the US and more defense for countries like Israel and Ukraine. So it's a win-win. And next, Kyiv has come under heavy drone attack overnight, with Russian forces striking at least 13 locations across the capital. Kyiv's air defense was active for hours and explosions echoed around the city. At least 14 people were injured and 12 of them hospitalized, according to the Kyiv mayor. Officials say residential areas were targeted, with fires breaking out in at least 2 districts. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that the Russian military launched at least one hypersonic missile. They also fired ballistic missiles in 2 waves at targets in Kyiv and nearby areas. So what? This has been a pretty heavy barrage over the last month. I saw an infographic that basically laid out every drone attack every night in the last month. And it's likely that this is due to their offensive operations during the summer months, trying to deplete Ukrainian air defense to keep forces preoccupied in defensive positions and allow them to make advances forward. Due to the last story we talked about, it's likely that these are going to continue, and quite possible that civilian casualties will get greater and greater as defensive ammunition starts to run low. If Europe can't really step up and provide the necessary equipment, which is quite possible, as they're going to lack the technology for some systems. Yeah, not great signs, and pretty scary times for Ukraine as this war rages on, and the US, despite everything they've said, appears to be just turning their back on them at this point. And lastly, The Austrian Interior Minister on Thursday said that it had carried out the first deportation flights to Syria since the start of the country's civil war more than 15 years ago. They deported a 32-year-old man who was flown to Damascus via Istanbul. Though his name was not given, nor his specific crime cited, the Austrian Interior Minister said the man had been convicted of a crime in November 2018, at which time he was stripped of his refugee status. Austria and neighbouring Germany have both been eager to repatriate Syrian criminals and those who they see as potential Islamists. Now, former President Bashar al-Assad has been toppled and the civil war has ended. In April, Kana flew to Damascus with his counterpart from Germany to initiate the return of such individuals to Syria, which were deemed safe for return. With Thursday's repatriation, Austria has become the first EU nation to deport people back to Syria. Rights groups, however, said it's too soon to know how the situation in Syria will develop under the Islamist government that has taken power after pushing out Assad. They also fear Austria's move will set a precedent for other countries. So what? I think it's highly likely that we'll see a lot more deportation flights to Syria now, especially now that one country has successfully done it. The number of Syrian refugees in Europe is in the millions, and it's highly likely that most countries, especially ones with large immigration populations and significant problems due to it, want to send them back. Lots of them are not deemed refugees, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle mass deportation. We're currently seeing how it's going in the US, causing massive civil unrest. So it'll be interesting to see how it's handled in Europe. I don't think we'll see the aggressive ICE raids that we're seeing in the US, but yeah, countries like Germany will highly likely step up in the coming months and start these types of activities. That has been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again next time. See you.